Is this a sort of thing where you feel like people should be taking action, or like we don't know enough to know yet, or do you have any thoughts
Um,
about that?
just as an example, in Lake George, we have found that the road salt has increased, I think 15 or 20% in the water than it was, say, 50 years ago. So something that they did was the community got together and talked with the town, and they implemented. They have a lot of money up there, as you could probably tell, because it's a beautiful lake, and they talked to the town and they implemented a way to have new plow systems where they actually have a live edge plow, and it kind of reads the road to tell how much ice is on the road, how much they really need to be putting down, and it change depending on the surface, and that's an expensive way to kind of mitigate this. Another thing is people have been doing a lot of research and finding that you can use alternatives to salt that aren't as harmful to the environment. Things like the byproduct of when people make cheese, like cheese brine, and they'll put that on the road rather than road salt, and it's a more natural thing. Or things like beet juice also works, or honestly just reducing the amount of road salt that we need to put on the roads. With climate change and all of those factors, we're finding that it's snowing a lot and we're having more larger snow events. So we've been using a lot more salt in recent years. So I definitely think that's something that communities should know about and talk about, because research has found that it's definitely affecting the environment, and any way we could reduce it would be great. Um,
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Now, you said something that's really interesting, and I think people might have little question marks over their heads right now, which is with climate change, you're getting more snow events. Do you do you know anything about that, or do you feel like that's a little bit out of your area of comfort to
it's
talk
kind of
about?
out of my wheelhouse, but we have been. If you hear in the news, I mean, we see it all the time. People think climate change, they think global warming, but that's not always the case. A lot of projections will say that actually in the Northeast where we are, I know you're talking to people down that are down south more as well, but there's snow events there. We're finding that there's a higher frequency of snow events, and also they're larger snow events. So climate change will affect everywhere differently, and it's kind of up to us to really figure out what's going to happen, and obviously hopefully prevent it from happening. But um, hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. Um, and I thought it was really interesting also talking about different things that could be sprayed, because of course people put salt on roads to save life, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Like
important. It's something we have to do. We can't just stop. Though there are, I know other states will use sand instead of salt. There are different alternatives, and some of there are salt alternatives that use partly salt and then other chemicals. So it's all about kind of trying to find a balance, like you said in the beginning, between saving lives and being safe, and also making sure we're protecting our environment. Yeah.
yeah, one of the things that students are going to be doing with this project is coming up with ways that they can make the world a better place. So either stewardship projects or civic action. And it sounds like there might be a really great opportunity for civic action around sort of sensible salt use. And
Yeah.
like instead of just dumping the most salt, but like
Yeah,
really,
and even if it doesn't go to the level of talking with your community and trying to get them to use alternatives to salt, you could even people in their driveways could read a bag, and students could go out and just talk to community members and say, hey, like just be mindful about the kind of salt you're using and how much you're putting down, because this, of course, will eventually go into your watershed. And we can even see on the side of the roads that have a lot of salt usage, it kills the roadside plants. So it's something that you can really see and it's tangible, but it's a lot harder to see it in the water, because it's dissolved in the water, and it's hard to track these kind of things.